Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
Working with Gina was great because she really knows this area. I gave her the specifications of what I was looking for, and she took me right to my forever home.
I met Gina when she sold my son's home within 5 days after it hit the market. With my home, from the day the sign hit the yard to the day we signed the papers, Gina was there every step of the way. Her involvement in the sale of my home was the best decision that I made.
We never felt like Gina was pushing us to make a deal with a buyer. She knew what we wanted, and she worked diligently to get us the best offer for our properties.
Working hard for my clients to make their dreams come true. Let me work for you.
Welcome to Mid-South Barn Dominiums. We realize there's a lot of options when it comes to finding a builder for your next home. Here at Mid-South, we understand that customer service, quality, and selections are very important. It's a very large time, money, and an emotional investment, and we're here to listen and care. We realize the kitchen's the most used and abused room in the house. Our cabinets are locally custom made from Sanderson cabinets out of Lawrenceburg. They're real wood, poplar or maple, whether you paint or stain. All comes with slow close hardware and many pull-out different style options to choose from.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome into SEC Tailgate, the Wednesday edition here on the X Sports Network, July 9th, 2025, and we got a little bit of news to cover, Hayden. So we'll just start off with some headlines here on the SEC Tailgate. So, former Tennessee pitcher A.J. Causey has been promoted to the Double-A Northwest Arkansas Naturals, Double-A affiliate of the Kansas City Royals. So good to see him making his way up the minor league ranks. Texas baseball with some good news as they've had a trio of pitchers, Ruger Riojas, Luke Harrison, and Max Grubb, all have opted out of this month's MLB draft and will be returning to Austin for a 2026 season. And then a pair of former SEC stars announced to be on the cover of NBA 2K26 coming out here in September as former Kentucky guard and now new NBA champ and NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be on it, along with former LSU forward Angel Reese. SGA is on like the standard edition of the game, while Reese is on they made like a WNBA cover. Version of the cover, and then they both joined Carmelo Anthony on the premium edition of the game.
Deluxe, whatever you want to call it.
Well, they called it the Leave No Doubt edition. I'm not really sure what that means.
Basically the Legend edition.
Yeah. 2K26 comes out on September 4th. Unless you pre-order it, it will come out on August 29th. Tennessee and Illinois are renewing their basketball rivalry that's been going on the past 2 years, so it'll continue this year, 2025. They'll be playing December 6th at Bridgestone Arena. Again, I mean, as good as those two games have been, that game has been the past 2 years, we're sure in for another one. And then a return game since in 2027-28 season at the United Center in Chicago. Love to see these two great teams keeping that rivalry up and going. Obviously, a bunch of talent on those two teams lately. On the SEC Network tomorrow, you got the Tennessee Takeover Day going on, so they'll start at midnight Eastern, 11 Central. You'll have the Tennessee and Ohio State women's basketball game from the NCAA tournament. And then at 1 a.m., you'll have the Florida versus Tennessee men's basketball game in Knoxville. That was the game without Zakai Ziegler when Chaz Lanier and Jordan Gainey had a great game. 3 a.m. you got the Tennessee versus Kentucky women's soccer game, and then the SEC tournament. And then at 5 a.m., for those people getting up early to head to work, you can watch a little baseball. You got the Tennessee versus Texas SEC tournament game in Hoover. I remember that one. Brandon Arvidsson had his little coming out party in that one. Sure 5 in an inning, 5 and 1/3 innings pitched, no runs, 9 strikeouts. I think that was the game that won Tennessee their regional berth as well, so that was a very big game. At 8 a.m., you got the Tennessee versus Florida Women's College World Series game. That'll be a quick one.
That was a fun one.
I think Tennessee had 7 runs in the first inning or something like that.
Yeah, the first few
yeah, yeah. It was everybody was just batting around. So that was a one you can watch the first 20 minutes of and get the story of the game. At 10, you'll have the Tennessee versus Auburn in the SEC semifinal in Nashville. Scott Ziegler 20-point game. Got Tennessee to the SEC championship game. At noon, you'll have the Tennessee versus UConn women's game from this past season. That was a great game. That was probably the most fun I had at a women's game in Tennessee. There was a couple of really good men's games while I was there, but that was by far the best women's game. Some baseball, Tennessee versus Florida at 2. That's the Sunday game. 4:30, you'll have Tennessee versus Texas A&M and the volleyball. A very good game from Nina Chayach and Mackenzie Plant. At 6:30, you'll get the behind the scenes for Tennessee spring football. That one may be interesting. I haven't seen that, so maybe some stuff about the Nico transfer. And then at 7, you'll have the Tennessee versus UCLA softball College World Series game. And then to round it off at 9, Alabama Tennessee men's basketball, the Jemai Meshack buzzer beater. Yep. So a good day of sports. Great memories from this past year, Tennessee athletics. So Definitely some ones I'd want to watch, and if not, definitely record. I'm not waking up at 1 o'clock to watch a basketball game, but that I was at. But definitely a good one to watch. And then KSR, so Kentucky Sports Radio, loves talk. I think they talk about Tennessee more than they talk about Kentucky. And they had I don't know if it was an episode of their show or just a clip from their show talking about how bad Tennessee football has been over the past 20 or 30 years, and that says that Tennessee hasn't been a top 30 program over that time, and they haven't, questioning if they've even been better than Louisville. So I did a little research. Tennessee is 7th in the SEC in wins over the past 25 years, since 2000. Tennessee, well, they weren't in the top 10, so that tells you what you need to know.
That's just a stupid argument.
Yeah, Louisville's had some.
Is it a comparison between Kentucky? Is what they're saying?
Well, I don't say, and that's what I didn't get. I didn't understand if it was they were trying to compare their two biggest rivals in Tennessee and Kentucky, or if they were trying to compare them to themselves, because Tennessee has only lost to Kentucky 3 times since 1985. Yeah. Okay, that was when Ronald Reagan was, is the president. Yeah. They lost in 2011, 2017, and 2020, which every Tennessee fan will tell you is the worst 3 years of Tennessee football probably ever. Yeah. Because 2017 didn't win a conference game, 2020 we all remember that, and then 2011, Derek Dooley was our coach. Yeah. So I mean, 2017, Butch Jones was our coach, and 2020, Jeremy Pruitt was our coach. That's enough said right there. But it kind of raises the question: is it's kind of confusing here. Just why do they keep talking about Tennessee?
Because it's Kentucky.
I mean, it's the same guy. This guy in the middle right here. I got a clip of him pulled up right now, and he just never shuts up about him. He said it 20 years of mid with the picture of the scoreboard in Ohio Stadium after last year. Obviously, some not friendly comments underneath it.
I don't even want to argue that, to be honest, because that's just rage bait at that point.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's what it is. I mean,
that might be what he's going for.
And it's definitely got some some interactions on the Twitter and X and stuff like that.
I'm not falling for it.
But
it's just. For basketball, okay, it's a good rivalry between the two. But football, there's no discussion between the two.
No.
I mean, really, any other sport.
I mean, we went 26 years without losing to them for a while, and the year we did, half the team had quit on the coach.
Baseball, we've dominated them in baseball. They had a really good season last year, but...
And they still lost 2 out of 3.
They lost 2 out of 3. It just... I don't know.
They want to bring up basketball because
that's their goal.
I always see this. I always see this thing that it's talking about rivalries in the SEC that are one-sided or kind of like that father-son type of rivalry, and it like Tennessee and Vanderbilt in football is one. But it had Tennessee and Kentucky for basketball, but no other team in the country has more wins against Kentucky than Tennessee. So it just kind of it feels like a lazy argument, but. It's a fun rivalry, though.
Yeah, it's a fun rivalry. I think that's just...
Well, in basketball, I'm not sure if you consider it that in other sports yet. Yeah. Jumping over to the Big 12, sort of, this will have some come back to the SEC. But so Big 12 Media Days are going on right now. Commissioner Brett Yormark said that I believe that the Big 12, and so he's talking about, we will be the deepest football conference in America. I fully expect the Big 12 to earn multiple college football bids this year. Now, I agree with half of that statement. I do think the Big 12 will probably get 2 teams in the playoff, but that doesn't, multiple teams in the playoff doesn't automatically make you the deepest conference in football. I mean, we'll go look at the Big 12 teams right here.
I mean, Arizona State, obviously, they should be in the playoffs. BYU, I don't know what they're going to have. Kansas State, with Howard coming back.
Yeah, I would say they have a ton of.
Yeah.
That's not the big. That's the old Big 12. Here's the Big 12. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got Cincinnati,
I don't see Colorado, Cincinnati. No, I don't really. TCU, I don't think so.
But a team like Texas Tech could be sneaky good. West Virginia, Iowa State. They got Rocco Beck coming back.
You never know.
Yeah, but again, Baylor, they're one of those teams that's up and down every year.
Trying to rebuild a little bit. Arizona, I don't really think Arizona's that.
But again, there very well could be 2 or 3 teams right here, and the 3 I'm thinking are Iowa State, Kansas State, and Arizona State that have the best chance to kind of make a push. But you look at this and you're like, well, Cincinnati's not going to have a great year probably. Yeah. Who knows about Texas Tech and TCU? Yep. Oklahoma State went like 2-10 last year. Yeah. I mean, BYU, your quarterback left. Arizona,
Kansas will start good or end good. So I don't see them.
Houston was not great last year. Colorado, you lost your Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders card, so not sure how long.
It's really Arizona State, Kansas State, and Iowa State. I can only see 2 of them getting in, possibly.
So yeah, I mean, they might be better in the ACC just because the ACC had such a bad year last year, but. I think I'm still going to put the Big 12 is obviously not a top 2 conference.
No, it's Big 10 SEC.
It's Big 10 SEC, and it's going to be that way for a while. So some more quotes from Big 12 Media Day. Texas Tech head coach talking about a possible home and home series. He said, "I'd love to play LSU home and home. That would be fun." And it's something we don't see a lot of anymore, Hayden, is home and home series in college football. We see a lot of neutral site games like the Georgia Clemsons, the Alabama. I don't know if the Alabama Florida State is a home and home or not, but we've seen games in the past or Alabama USC when they played in Dallas and stuff like that to open the season. But man, I like big time home and home series on college campuses. So Hayden, we'll not go through every SEC team, but just kind of looking at some fun home and homes that you could think of. Like the first one that comes to my mind is an older kind of rivalry. But bring Tennessee and Notre Dame back. Yes. They used to play all the time. The Lou Holtz versus the Johnny Majors, and then you had it kind of go into the 2000s a little bit with Charlie Weiss. But
Georgia Tech was one of them too.
Yeah, Georgia Tech. That used to be a conference game, and now that's a big one. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Some of the good ones we get every year, like South Carolina plays Clemson. You get teams like Georgia plays Georgia Tech, Florida plays Florida State, but man, like an Arkansas and a Kansas or something like that. Like some of those, or Missouri and
Iowa. That would be a good game.
Like some of these things that you see in like some bowl games that would be fun. Like I don't know, Mississippi State Tulane. I'm trying to think regionally here, but you could even go completely crazy and do like South Carolina and Stanford. I mean, just stuff that makes no sense. But I think you definitely want to see Tennessee and Notre Dame, or Tennessee and Nebraska, just two. We had that one kind of taken away from us, but some good rivalries in there. I'm not sure if anything would
Alabama, Wisconsin. We saw that last year. That matchup.
Yeah, and we saw it a couple years ago, even before that. That was fun. But yeah, like an Alabama, Ohio State. Like give me 2 big dogs really going at it.
Give me Texas and
Auburn.
Michigan.
Auburn, Florida State, something like that. Like exactly. There are a ton of teams in the Southeast,
Clemson,
or even
Tennessee, orange.
That was a great Orange Bowl. I'm trying to think of Kentucky, maybe Kentucky, like Indiana or something. Like bring a basketball rivalry over to
Kentucky, Cincinnati, maybe.
Yeah. Bring some basketball rivalries over to football.
Kentucky, Kansas State, Wildcat versus Wildcat thing. Take any use colors, use use mascots like Wildcats, Wildcat.
Well, and even I'm one that I'm sad we didn't get to see a part 2 to it, but the Tennessee BYU, that was random, but it was fun. I get Tennessee lost that game. I was there, but it was a fun game, and I think if they would have gone out to Provo, it would have been fun. Just seeing Tennessee play at BYU.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think like Ole Miss used to play. I don't know if they have, like, I'm trying to think of teams close to the Mississippi area, but like a Texas Tech maybe. I know they played them
Texas
early.
Tech, maybe.
Ole Miss used to play Memphis early in the season. That used to be fun. But yeah, definitely some fun home and homes possible. Obviously, I think Texas Tech, LSU would be great.
Birmingham, Auburn, Birmingham.
Yeah, something along those lines. But when we come back, we got a fun game lined up. So we're going to do best football, basketball, and baseball players at every school in the SEC, and then we'll rank them. Coming up next here on the SEC Tailgate.
Gifts and goodies galore await you at Miss Millie's in downtown Lawrenceburg. From brands you know and love, like E. Newton Jewelry and Tyler Diva Wash, to unique specialty gifts, you will find it all here. Whether you're looking for the perfect gift for someone you love or shopping for yourself, shopping local is the way to go. We have home goods, women's fashion and accessories, baby items, and lots of seasonal decorations. Our friendly staff will welcome you in, help you find what you need, and even package your gifts for you. Also, we can't forget to tell you about our popular bridal registry. Future brides can come and create their perfect registry with us. So stop by Miss Millie's today. We're located in the northeast corner of the square in downtown Lawrenceburg.
Good Works at Home, formerly known as the Summit at Home, is a licensed non-skilled agency dedicated to helping you maintain your independence at home for as long as possible. Our compassionate and caring staff provide support in various areas, including dressing, bathing, personal hygiene, transportation, cleaning, and companionship. Please call our office about services, payment options, and long-term care policies at 931-762-2310. We look forward to assisting you with keeping your independence longer.
Efficiency, reliability, accuracy. Move forward with your real estate sale or purchase with Title and Escrow of Lawrence County, the most experienced closing team around. Working with clients locally and throughout the state, we offer a wide range of services, including the expertise of an on-staff attorney, backed by our more than 49 years experience in titles and closings. We get the job done on time at a fair price and ensure every last detail is correct. Our goal is to give you peace of mind. When you work with us, you work with people who live where you do. We understand the importance of the real estate community and strive to build strong relationships with all parties involved in the process. Whether you're buying a home, selling a business, acquiring land, or anything in between, you're in good hands with Title and Escrow of Lawrence County.
Put the most experienced closing team on your side. Contact Title and Escrow of Lawrence County today.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
All right, welcome back to our next segment here on the SEC Tailgate. And we got a fun one. We've been planning this game for about a couple of days now. I brought it up to you Monday. So we're looking at every school in the SEC, all 16 of them now. We've included Oklahoma and Texas, and who their best football, basketball, and baseball player were. And so we've kind of thrown this list together. So we'll start at the top of your list. I'll go in order with you. So I'll let you kind of give your players out.
So
first.
are we going from?
We'll just go. So we'll start at the top of the list, Alabama,
Okay.
and we'll just kind of list our best players. Yeah. So for Alabama, I think their best football player is Derrick Henry. I went with Derrick Henry. I remember his Heisman season. He was an absolute beast, big guy. And there were some other guys. Could have thrown Joe Namath in there. Could have thrown someone like Ozzie Newsome in there. But I'm just thinking, mixing and the way we kind of came up with this list was a mix between their college career and pro career. We didn't let one influence more than the other. For basketball, for Alabama, I went with Robert Horry, Big Shot Bob, 7 NBA championships. Just always found a way to be on the winning team. And had a pretty good career at Alabama. Joe Sewell played back in the 20s and 30s, but is who the ballpark down there is named after. So that is my best football, basketball, and baseball players for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, for Alabama, I've got Joe as well for baseball. I've got two different ones for basketball and football. I've got Derek Thomas.
Okay,
linebacker.
that was another one who I was thinking
Derek
of.
Thomas. That's who I would pick. Derek Henry's another good one too, but me preferably, I would probably take Derek Thomas just because Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Derek Henry's not done yet either.
And some of his, I think he still has the single season sacks record.
Yeah.
And I don't remember for college, and it was like 22 or something like that. Crazy.
And I've got Latrell
Sprewell.
Yep.
Okay, that was another one that was a toss up.
Yeah, like you said, Robert Horry. Another one on my list. It was between those two right there. And Sprewell, I just think the accolades kind of backed him up as well. I know.
Well, you take the 7 championships away from Horry, and he was nothing but a role player off the bench. So Sprewell was a starter for he played for the pretty much.
Yeah, so those are my 3 for Alabama.
All right, for Arkansas, for football, Darren McFadden, back-to-back runner-up for the Heisman, Doak Walker Award winner from 2007. Had a great career. Just he could never get over that hump, and then also his NFL career never got off to a good start. For basketball, Corliss Williams was the leader of that championship team they had at Arkansas. I mean, those teams were fun, and he was really good. Had a decent NBA career, and then for baseball, Andrew Benintendi won the Golden Spikes Award. Was a top round pick. Had a good start to his career with Boston, but after getting moved around to Kansas City and the White Sox, hasn't been able to kind of keep it up.
Yeah. I've got McFadden too for football. Like you said, all the accolades with that. For basketball, I'm going to go with Sidney Moncrief.
Yep. He was another good one.
Really good at Arkansas. Didn't really translate to the NBA game as much. And then for baseball, I'm going to go with Kevin McReynolds, kind of one of those all-time Arkansas players as well.
All right, so we'll go on to Auburn, and I feel like we might have the same trio for this
we might
one.
Have that one.
Football, Bo Jackson. Bo knows one of in my opinion, probably the greatest athlete of all time, because you could put him on any playing surface and he would be successful. Obviously, played in the NFL and Major League Baseball. Basketball, the round mound to rebound, Mr. Charles Barkley.
That's mine too.
Probably the best player turned analyst of all time in my mind when it comes to that. And then the big hurt, Frank Thomas.
Yep, that's me and you've got the same 3 for Auburn.
But it's hard to pass up on those 3. I think all 3 of them were at Auburn at the same time, and if not, it was a pretty close overlap. But man, that's a good trio to have right there. All right, so we'll go on to Florida. I had a hard time with Florida because there were a couple of guys I could have gone with, just some of those quarterbacks they had early in the 2000s, like Rex Grossman. But I went with Tim Tebow.
Okay.
When I think Florida, I go Tim Tebow. Again, didn't have the best NFL career, but was a really good college quarterback. For basketball, Joakim Noah was kind of that centerpiece to those back-to-back national championship teams at Florida in basketball with Corey Brewer and Al Horford. But I just felt like he was really that piece that held it together, and then was also a big piece of those Chicago Bulls teams in the early 2010s with Derrick Rose was the kind of the defensive player. Locked down on that guy, and then for baseball, Pete Alonso. There was a lot of Florida guys you could have gone for in baseball, but I just feel I went with who I think is going to have the best career, following up this, and I went with Pete Alonso.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Tim Tebow for football, obviously. And then for basketball, Bradley Beal. I know it's kind of up in the air, Bradley Beal. Joakim Noah, like you said, and Al Horford, too. Joakim Noah never won a championship. Al Horford won with Boston, and Bradley Beal still haven't won one. But the thing is with Bradley Beal, I think
he's such a good scorer.
Such a good scorer, led the league in scoring one time with Washington, a really bad game. I think he averaged like 32,
that's the thing. He spent most of his career with the Wizards, and he was there long enough that he was there with John Wall and Otto Porter and I believe it was Markieff Morris, and that was a very good team.
Exactly. And then for baseball, I'm going to go with a young guy, kind of unproven, Jack and
Caglione.
Yep. That's it. I know he's young. His numbers at Florida were ridiculous. Yeah. I feel like they're going to translate in the MLB. So
because he had like a 35 or 34 home run season his last year at Florida, and that's like a top 5 all time in college baseball.
Exactly. So that's why I'm going to go with the young guy on that one for Florida.
And Georgia, a sneaky good team. Herschel Walker, obviously for football. Georgia's had some really good football players because, I was initially going to go with Champ Bailey.
Yeah.
Because, he was an offense and defense kind of guy, too, back in the late 90s. But Herschel Walker was an absolute beast.
I've got Walker.
Dominique Wilkins for basketball. I was a toss-up between him and Anthony Edwards. Now, I think at the end of his career, if I did this list in, say, 10 years, I'd probably put Anthony
put
Edwards
Anthony
if his
Edwards,
career stays on the same trajectory, just because his game translates so much better to today's NBA. Dominique
I'm
would
with you
probably
on
be a
those
little bit outdated. And then for baseball, Gordon Beckham was on that 2008 College World Series runner-up team that lost to Fresno State. Got drafted, didn't have much of a big league career, kind of around a 200 career hitter. Didn't really get much out of him, but again, but again, with Georgia, with being as good as baseball they have been the past couple of years, I think they could get back up there pretty soon with a guy like Charlie Condon.
Yeah, I got 2 out of 3 with you with Wilkins and Walker. I'm going to go with Spud Chandler, kind of a role player type of guy for Georgia. Obviously, didn't have the greatest career at Georgia, but he was able to figure it out in the MLB, and he just was like kind of, when you knew what you were getting out of him.
Yeah. And we'll move on to Kentucky, another team that's had some really good success with athletes. Obviously, for football, I got to go Tim Couch.
Yeah,
it was between him and a couple of guys like Benny Snell or the hefty lefty, but decided to go with Tim Couch. Played at Kentucky in the late '90s. I believe he won the I can't think of the name, the Davy O'Brien Award for the best quarterback in the country. Was the first real air raid quarterback. His offensive coordinator at the time, Mike Leach, kind of brought in that system there with Kentucky, and continued it on, and obviously had some great quarterback careers. Anthony Davis had one of the best single seasons in college basketball history. I mean, he had more blocks than like half the teams in college basketball. Yes. And then for baseball, Brandon Webb.
That's who I've got too.
He's a guy that would have been much higher up if his career was longer. He only had like a 7 or 8 year major league career. If it went longer, probably could have had more success. But Kentucky, a very sneaky good team.
Yeah, I'm with you on those 3 too.
All right, for LSU, again, and I was talking to you about this yesterday, I could have put a different 3 up there entirely. So I went with Joe Burrow for football, had probably the greatest quarterback season of all time.
I'm with you on that one.
It was slinging it all across the yard, had an NFL team on offense with him. For basketball, I had Shaquille O'Neal yesterday, came in this morning and changed it to Pete Maravich. It was a toss-up because Shaq was so dominant in the NBA and Pete Maravich played so long ago. But, dude, looking at his stats, I mean, he was averaging 45 points a game in college without a three-point line. And then Paul Skeens for baseball, I mean, and it was a toss-up between him and Ben McDonald. But Paul Skeens came in and broke all of Ben McDonald's records at LSU, like innings, strikeouts, stuff like that, and is off to a great major league career. Obviously not a fan of the team he's on just because they can't win a game when he's out there. But Paul Skeens for LSU.
Yeah, I'm with you on Joe Burrow. I took Shaq just because of the dominance, like you said. I'm going to go with one that's probably going to bring up some controversy. I'm going to go with Todd Walker.
Ooh, okay. LSU
I don't
legend,
know what it is, but he just, I don't know, he just had that feel for him. Like every time he was out there, kind of like with Spud Chandler, you just knew exactly what you were going to get from him. So I'm going to go with Walker on that one.
Yeah, Todd Walker, remember the LSU some Hall of Fame class they had 2 years ago. I remember him and seeing him in Hoover. Todd Walker, great player, and also had a pretty good major league career. Now on to the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Football, I think it's probably consensus. Dak Prescott, brought them so much success with Dan Mullen in the mid 2010s.
I'm with you on that one.
For basketball, Bailey Howell. This is an older player, but was an SEC Player of the Year 1 year. A 20-point, 10-rebound kind of guy. And then for baseball, I was in a bit of a toss-up between 2 guys, Thunder and Lightning back in the mid-'80s, but I went with Will Clark.
I'm with you on that one.
Will Clark had a great career, toss-up between him and Rafael Palmeiro. On to Missouri. This one, it's a little weirder because you remember all their history in the Big 12 and the Big 8. Yep. Chase Daniel, quarterback for Missouri. It was toss-up between him and Jeremy Maclin.
With you on that one.
But they got Missouri to a number 1 ranking back in 2007. Anthony Peeler for basketball, and then Max Scherzer for baseball. I could have gone with Ian Kinsler. A very good career. Oklahoma, probably one of the best.
I had Michael Porter Jr. for Missouri, obviously in 2017.
If he would have gotten
to be the 2nd overall pick and then had the back injury, I still think he's got plenty to go in his NBA career. I mean, really
if he played longer at Missouri, I would have thrown him up there. But the thing is he only got to play a couple of games before that injury.
But he was a stud.
For Oklahoma, a very good team. I got Adrian Peterson for football. You could have gone Brian Bosworth, Jalen Hurts, any of the quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield. Guys like that, but I went with Adrian Peterson. Longevity in both college and the pros. I mean, he's done what he's supposed to do and more at those levels. Blake Griffin for basketball. Again, if Buddy Hield had a bit of a better NBA career, I think he would be up here for sure just because of how good he was that year at Oklahoma. Trae Young, another good one. And then for baseball, Mickey Mantle. I mean, one of the best baseball players of all time, was a legendary Yankee switch hitter. I mean, everything you can want.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I honestly, like I said, it's going to be another controversial one. I got Blake Griffin, but I got these two right here, and I kind of looked at Oklahoma. I wanted to get away from the quarterback side of it. I'm going to go with Leroy Selman.
Okay.
Leroy Selman. Obviously a great player for them. He was one of those kind of, guys that can, move the boulder there for them. And then for baseball, like you said, Mickey Mantle.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Yeah. I had Dak Mitchell as kind of like an honorable mention, but then again, like I was looking at the list and I was like, I forgot Mickey Mantle. Yeah. So I haven't marked him out, but...
For Ole Miss, got Eli Manning. Obviously, it was tossed up between him and his dad, but obviously, just looking at his stats,
I've got Archie.
Just looking at stats, the game was so much different when Archie played. The stats looked a little different. I went with Eli Manning. For basketball, I went with Johnny Newman. Had a really good career at Ole Miss, and then for baseball, Don Kissinger.
Yep.
Obviously had a great career at Ole Miss, and then went on to have a great career on the pros as well with teams like the Cubs. And actually, me and Don Kissinger actually have the same birthday.
How about that?
So birthday coming up in a week from tomorrow.
There you go.
Is that the same for yours?
Yep, I got the same three. Yep.
South Carolina for football. I kind of wanted to go Sunshine from the remember the Titans. He played at South Carolina, but I went with George Rogers, the Heisman Trophy running back from 1980. Basketball, Alex English, one of the best scorers of all time, obviously in the 80s. And then for baseball, Jackie Bradley Jr.
3 for 3 again.
Could have gone with Whit Merrifield. Could have gone with Christian Walker, guys on that same South Carolina team that made it to 3 straight College World Series finals. For Tennessee, theirs is loaded as well. Peyton Manning, but easily could have gone. There's a couple other guys that had great careers. Johnny Majors, to name one. Basketball, Bernard King.
Yep.
And again, I could have gone with Grant Williams, who was a 2-time or maybe a 3-time SEC Player of the Year. I know Bernard King was, and a 2-time All-American. Dalton Connect had a good year, obviously. And then with Todd Helton in baseball as of right now, just recently inducted in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So he's immortal now in Cooperstown. But talking to you, when we get a little further down the Tony Vitello line, maybe we're looking at Garrett Crochet, maybe we're looking at somebody like Jordan Beck or Drew Gilbert. Texas A&M, Johnny Football.
Football.
I mean, he was.
Johnny Manziel. That's who I got.
He was so good when he was in college. Just let it get a little bit away from him. Basketball, Alex Caruso.
Yep.
There are definitely some older guys you could have gone with.
I had Chris Middleton just because the All-Star in scoring in Milwaukee won a championship with them too. But then again, I'm with you. Caruso, it was...
Or Robert Williams. They had a couple of really good NBA prospects over the past couple of years, whether they've turned out or not. And then baseball, Davey Johnson, really great player in the 60s. Texas, another really strong one. Earl Campbell for football. You could have gone Vince Young, could have gone Ricky Williams. But for me, I just went with Earl Campbell just of longevity of NFL and college career. Kevin Durant.
Yeah, KD
can't beat that. I mean, they've had a bunch of good ones. Jared Allen, guys like that, Miles Turner, even. But obviously, Kevin Durant is the guy. And then baseball, Roger Clemens.
I'm 3 for 3 on that.
I mean, one of the best pitchers of all time. Talking about longevity with that guy. He was a Cy Young winner, I believe, 42 or 43 years old. And then going down for Vanderbilt, Jay Cutler for football. Obviously great career by Jay Cutler.
Bill Wade. Oh, you look at the numbers back then. Late guy, 1948 to 1951, I think was his career.
But he was good.
Yeah, he was really good back then.
I went with Clyde Lee in basketball. He was an old guy from the back in the 50s, but he was a rebound first kind of guy. Almost had a 20-20 year with 20 points and 20 rebounds in his time at Vanderbilt.
Darius Garland, highest rated Commodore. In the NBA draft, pick 5 in the 2019 draft, going to Cleveland. So I took him with that.
And they've had some good ones recently. Aaron Neesmith has turned out to have a pretty good career. I think Saban Lee's in the NBA somewhere. And obviously, you go back, you got guys like Will Perdue. And then for baseball, you could throw 100 guys in here just because of the success they've had lately. But I went with David Price.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
He's a local guy, came from Blackman High School in Murfreesboro, and then went on to have a great career at Vanderbilt, and then on to the pros. All right, so we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll rank these teams from 16 to 1 and tell you who has the best trio of athletes in the SEC. Coming up next here on the SEC Tailgate.
Hey everyone, this is Landon Saunders.
And this is Nate Patterson with Cloud9 Fiber.
We're excited to finally be able to offer Lawrenceburg our blazing fast, reliable, and affordable fiber internet services.
If you're looking for a more reliable and more affordable provider, we at Cloud9 Fiber have you covered.
Plans start at $50 a month, and we can offer up to a gigabit to your home or business.
We are excited to be able to offer your first month of service entirely free. We encourage you to sign up on cloud9fiber.com or by calling 931-201-9098 so we can help you make the switch today.
Hey, this is Phil Hooper. Get the look you want for your favorite school, church, or business with apparel from HD Ink Screen Printing in Leoma, Tennessee. Got a logo you need embroidered or screen printed? Let HD Ink give you the professional look that sets the bar in today's world. We do fundraisers and custom designed apparel and so much more. Call today, 931-201-2961, or come see us at our new shop located at 26 Ingram Road in Leoma. Remember, HD Ink for the look you want and the look you deserve.
The storm doesn't ask. It takes. It tests. It pushes everything to its limit. Some things are built different. Some things are built to last. Tested by the elements. Proven by time. Engineered for whatever comes next. Summertown Metals. Strength in every storm. Building dreams that last.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.
And welcome back to the SEC Tailgate. Michael Marks alongside Hayden Burks. And Hayden, we just gave our list of who we think, and these are all personal lists. This isn't like affiliate, this doesn't have any bias or anything, just kind of personal thought of our best football and basketball and baseball player at every SEC school. And now we've kind of compiled those together, and we have a similar ranking system. So what I did is I pretty much I ranked all the players pretty much, football 1 through 16, basketball 1 through 16, baseball 1 through 16, and then kind of put the ratings next to the players, added them up, and then lowest score pretty much is number 1, highest score is number 16. Mm-hmm. So we'll start off at the bottom, number 16 for you.
I've got Arkansas.
Okay. I had Texas A&M. I had Johnny Manziel ranked 11th, Alex Caruso 16, and then Davy Johnson 12. No overpower, and the same thing could be said for Arkansas. Nothing overpowering really. Some of these schools,
guys that had good college careers,
but didn't really translate to the NFL
or building. Yeah.
Not my number 15. I got Vanderbilt.
I got Ole Miss for 15.
Okay, so Vanderbilt, I had Jay Cutler and Clyde Lee both at 15th. David Price at 8. Number 14, I got Ole Miss.
And I've got Vanderbilt for 14.
Okay, so 14 and 15.
Vice versa, yep.
And so tied at the same amount of points with Ole Miss at number 14. I got Alabama at 13. Now, the thing is Joe Sewell, there's not as much out there about him. I don't know how well his stats would translate to today. I had him a little low. And again, Robert Horry talking about how a lot of his success is related to those 7 championships. And then Derrick Henry, I may have had a little low, but, moving him up 1 or 2 spots wouldn't have changed much.
I've got Oklahoma at 13.
Okay.
Just kind of the success really hasn't translated as well, in my opinion, to the pros. Obviously, we've seen some good football players come through, and baseball players as well, but basketball, other than Blake Griffin and
not much.
Trey Young and Buddy Hield, really nothing left. Yeah.
All right, so my number 12, I have South Carolina.
South Carolina for 12 too. Yeah.
And they're tied with my number 11, which is Missouri.
I've got Texas A&M at 11.
Missouri, I have Chase Daniel and Anthony Peeler really brought it down for them, but Max Scherzer is 3,000 strikeout guy. Really good career. That really boosted them up. Number 10, I got Mississippi State.
And I'm going to have number 10 as Missouri for mine.
Okay, so pretty close.
Yeah, we're getting close.
My number 9, this is probably our furthest off one, Arkansas. I have Arkansas at 9. You had them at 16.
Yeah, and I've got Florida at number 9 for mine.
Okay, and then again, that's close with mine. Yeah. Arkansas is tied with Kentucky, who I have at number 8. And the way I've determined if they're tied, I know you did averages.
Yeah.
The way I determined if they're tied pretty much was just who had the higher rated player.
Exactly, that's
and
how I
Kentucky
did
had a
mine.
better
Yep.
overall player than Arkansas had.
Yep.
So another two teams tied at 6th and 7th. I have Georgia and Florida, who are two teams that would hate to be tied with each other.
And for number 7, I had Mississippi State, and then number 6, I have Alabama. So
Okay.
that's what I've got for that.
So I had them also very close, just a little bit further back at number. So breaking into the top 5, LSU at number 5 for me.
I've got Georgia at 5 on that one.
Again, LSU, just such a good career. I could have gone with Billy Cannon and Ben McDonald, but I feel like those would have brought them down a little bit. But if we look at, again, this is one of those where if we look at it 10 years from now, I could have Joe Burrow and Paul Skeens at probably 3 or 4.
This list is,
it can change a lot because we have active players, we have inactive players. My number 4, I got Auburn.
I've got LSU at number 4.
So I had Auburn all 3. I have 4s across the line with Bo Jackson, Charles Barkley, and Frank Thomas.
Yeah, great names.
Number 3 and tied with number 2 as well. I got Texas at 3.
I've got the other UT. I've got Tennessee at 3.
And see,
I know that they're going to probably say, "Oh, you ain't no Tennessee fan." I'm just, I'm looking at names here.
I had Tennessee
at 3.
Tennessee and Texas tied at 2 for me with 11 points. Again, Texas. I mean, Roger Clemens, Earl Campbell, and Kevin Durant.
These are just hard names.
And then Tennessee, Peyton Manning, Bernard King, and Todd Helton. I mean, that's Hall of Famers across the line for both of them, and it's a tough list to beat. Yeah. And rounding out my list, or you didn't give your number 2.
My number 2 is Auburn, with, like you said, Barkley, Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas, those 3. That's Auburn for my number 2.
Tough team to beat. And then my number 1, Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma a little low down. I think I gave Oklahoma a little bit too much love with Blake Griffin. I had him like 6th or 7th just because he had such a good college career. Because he was like a 25-10 kind of guy.
I guess the reason for Blake, he just had such a downfall.
Yeah, well, it's just he was so good with the Clippers and then that fall off.
Yeah, I think the league changed up from under him. That's what it was. The league turned into a 3-point game and
not a high flyer like he was.
And my number 1 is Texas, like Kevin Durant, Earl Campbell, and Roger Clemens.
Well, I had Texas and Oklahoma and Tennessee were all, and Auburn were 10, 11, and 12.
They were my 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. So so it seems that Oklahoma and Texas have making a little noise in their time in the SEC.
But hey, we got Tennessee at 2 and 3 on our list.
Exactly, and that's where we like to see the Vols at. Maybe we can have some players that come through and add some names to this list. But hey, that's going to do it for our show today. Friday, we're going to rank SEC coaches, and we're going to talk quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks are next week, or is it coaches this week?
Let me pull that up. Quarterbacks on Friday, coaches on Monday, and then we're also going to look over the first week of the summer league, how some SEC guys have been doing in the summer league. But that'll do it for our show today. For Michael Marks, Hayden Burks, this has been the SEC Tailgate here on the X Sports Network.
Going the distance with local sports. This is the X Sports Network.